How you doing? I'm going to be very vulnerable in this one because it's something that I think we don't talk about enough. And it is one of the reasons why a lot of us stay stuck. And let me just make it more personal why I stay stuck. So, if you've been following me, you all know I'm a life coach, business coach, and strategist, and that in my past life, I was a project program manager working in corporates, typically telcos, supply chain service providers, that type of thing. So my experience is broad and very varied. And that is also because I've traveled the world doing it. So I think I have worked on every single continent. I've worked in the majority of first world countries and have experienced different cultures, different ways of being, and different types of projects. And that means that that's my identity because that's how we carve it out. And I have to be completely transparent. When I was very young and on this career path that I was on to become a program manager, because that was my ultimate goal, I didn't want to be a CEO or necessarily in a C-suite type role because honestly, I didn't want human resource management, which makes me laugh now as a coach, right? Because what do I want? I want to help people improve themselves. And theoretically, as an HR manager for staff, that's what we should have wanted as well. But I didn't at my career growing side of things. No, I just wanted to manage big ass projects and be able to pick and choose my teams and not have to deal with the human side of them, which I do laugh at now. So that is my identity. And what I realized is I was very good at it because I could multitask. And is that neurodiversity? Is that because I have ADHD or anything else that was never diagnosed? I just knew I was, a bit different and could multitask in a way that a lot of people couldn't. So then I found myself able to climb that ladder because I was prepared to work in countries others weren't, and I was prepared to manage projects or pick up broken projects and fix them and again where others weren't. And it really just came down to work ethic. I was just prepared to do the work and do what I had to do. And because it was in a corporate, it was never about me personally. It was about saving the project or creating the outcome for that business. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey as a coach, firstly, to be quite transparent, I never expected to run my own business. It was never something as a little child that I ever wanted to do. And I will oftentimes hear very successful entrepreneurs say that's all they wanted to do. Not me. And I've struggled. I have struggled the whole way through it to get clients. And I see compatriots get clients with a lot more ease than I ever have been able to. But it is what it is. And I had to stop and I had to think, well, why is that? Why is it that they can successfully navigate the marketing and the selling side of their businesses and not care, in my opinion, not care so much about the delivery side? And what do I mean by not care so much about the delivery side? A key thing for me was that I would get to know and experience life with all my clients, that I would, as a project manager, get involved in their businesses or in their goal, because some of us want to run businesses, but actually we're here because our lives aren't working either. And I think it's very hard to run a business if your life isn't working, which is why I life and business coach. And so I like to get involved and I like to understand and I like to unpack it. And really, all I'm trying to do is get you to see how you're thinking and feeling and let that explain why the results are what the results are through the outcome of that conversation. So if I'm running a really big group program where I have potentially 100 or so in my group to make the amount of money that is a goal, then I don't know these people one on one anymore. I lose track of them. And yeah, the ones that will come who are succeeding, i.e., the ones who are breaking the barriers and creating the outcomes they want. And we're always going to have those in a big group, right? If you think about the bell curve, the distribution curve, then we've got the outliers at either end, those that succeed and those that don't, and then everybody in the middle. And my experience have been that everybody in the middle won't necessarily put their hands up to be seen. They will sit in the back and they will disappear. And they are the people I love the most because they are the ones I want to help. the most because they are the ones whose hand I want to take and encourage and shove and push and remind and hold up and just get that connection with them because that's what I wanted. That's what I needed. And honestly, I never found that. I never found that in any coach. And I had paid for both one-to-one coaching, and I'm not talking hundreds of dollars, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars. And I didn't find it in my group coaching either because I would shrink. I wouldn't put my hand up, and I didn't get what I came for necessarily inside of that container. So I'm being vulnerable. So what stopped me? And it's very honest. My emotions, what I made things mean, how I took somebody's comment and catastrophized and turned it into something that probably it was never meant to be or implied, or how a look or a dismissive gesture from what I interpreted from a person would have me on my back foot and I wouldn't connect anymore, or I would again catastrophize, make it mean what it was never supposed to mean. And I think this is why a lot of us don't succeed in our goals. And it's not about our capability, because I truly believe if your desire is to achieve something, whether that be business or life, um, related. So my two clearly is to run a club of people, 50 maximum, and one-to-one coaching just to help people improve, grow, and create outcomes that they've not been able to create before and actually just blow their damn minds at, I was at point A and now I'm here at point B and look, I managed to do it. And then my personal goal has always been to train and ride my horse to Grand Prix. And those two goals have not been achieved. I haven't created the outcomes. And sometimes I have to stop and I have to really get hard with myself. I'm back in my olden days as a program manager. I used to call those our come to Jesus meetings where we would just lay it all out on the table and go, okay, dudes, this is what's going on. What are we doing here? Really just unpack it. And I realize, and this is not new, which is a little embarrassing, that it's because I cannot control my emotions because of that catastrophizing. Um, if you are in the coaching industry right now, it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're entering or you've been, highly monetary successful, your sales are down. There is not the same appetite as there was for coaching a couple of years ago. You will see it in high ticket programs. They used to be 100K, they're now 50K. It's come down. That's numbers. Numbers don't lie. But what I've been reading is in Reddit threads specifically is how a lot of people think that coaching is a sham and that coaches gaslight and that they will make promises that nobody can meet. Now, I do have some thoughts about that because I did work for a seven-figure coach who promised everybody 100K in a year. And she changed her marketing because that was not happening for the vast majority of people. And she did stop saying that promise, but that was back in the bro marketing days where you could say that. And that is a hangover for me because I think in order to make 100K in your own business without any proven successful sales and marketing skills in your first year is a huge ask. Will some of you do that? Of course you will, because of the outliers, the bell curve, right? And how can you guarantee to do it is this. You manage your emotions. So when you start to do what I did, which is you're reading Reddit threads where people are being quite negative and quite down on coaching and making the whole industry sound like a big scam and spam and that nobody's really interested and it's all just a money grab, then I can easily catastrophize and make that mean something about me and that it will never work. And why would I be part of this scammy industry and disappear again? And that's what I do. So I'm not managing my emotions. Now, it's the same for the horses. I have tried to get to Grand Prix on my oldest horse, Vinny, since I got Vinny. But here's the things. I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. And he is not the easiest horse. And I remember specifically on my other horse, Amani. Amani is now a long time retired. And if any of you wanted to see Vinny and Amani, just come to my Facebook page. I now post things like that on there. So I remember riding Amani in front of an Olympic rider, and she basically said within about 20 minutes, "Why have you got this horse? This horse is too difficult for you. You shouldn't have a horse like this. How did you end up with him?" And I was really upset by that because what I thought she was saying is, "You can't ride. You'll never be able to ride. You need something super simple. What are you doing with this particular horse?" But, instead of not reacting and catastrophizing and making what she said mean I wasn't good enough and having a different conversation with her, I reacted badly, right? So I did react badly. I did not react in a way that I am super proud of. And so, what I have now come to understand, though, is that there are some horses that you are going to click with that are going to be much easier in their bodies, that you will be able to go up the levels with. A friend of mine, in fact, somebody I bought my property from, had bought her horse when I bought Vinny around the same time, and her horse Danny just flew up the grades and was Grand Prix. Every year he went up the grades, whereas Vinny and I continued to struggle. And I could never understand why, because I knew I was actually as talented, if not better, with my feeling and my riding than she was. But really, it just came down to Danny didn't have the biomechanic or mental issues that Vinny had. Horses do have mental issues, people. They can and do have thoughts and feelings about the work that they've been asked to do. And that's the same thing for Armani. These horses weren't the right horses for ease. So they required a lot more skill and competency and knowledge from the rider. So all this rider, Leonie Barrymore was her name, all Leonie was trying to tell me at that time was, "You're really good at what you're doing, but we need to find you a horse that makes it easier for you for this pathway, because this particular horse you have has body and brain issues that would need to be fixed, and they're probably above your pay grade right now." So that yeah, so that if I had been much more mature, if I had been able to manage my emotions, if I had been able to take advantage of the coaching as the coaching was being given, I would be in a completely different place today. Guaranteed. For one, I probably would not still have my beautiful Armani and Vinny in my paddocks, right? They probably would have been sold and I would have gotten something that ticked that box, but I didn't, and I still have them. And funnily enough, Leo, my youngest horse, is in their ilk. He has so many problems, biomechanic issues that probably cannot be solved. That means my journey to Grand Prix with him is 50 times harder than it needed to ever be if I had just gone and got the right horse with a good body and a good mind. And it's a life lesson because we get to make what things mean inside of our brain, and that's how we react to them. So I have a saying, you cannot outperform the way you think, and that's a good example of it because I have all these thoughts about my ability, my capabilities, how I show up in the world, what I do, how I react, everything, like all of us. And unfortunately, my brain is wired negatively. And that means I do not manage my emotions well. I am very reactive, very reactive. And if I want to achieve new results and I want to create a new vision of me, that is the key to the doorway that will lead to those outcomes: mental, emotional management. And it means completely changing everything because how I think is how I feel, and how I feel is how I act, react, or do not act. And my habit is not to act or overreact. And I say it's a habit because it's the habit of a lifetime. So these are the interesting things, and this is why I'm being vulnerable, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So I can quite easily see, here's my business and here's my horse riding goals, and I've got goals within those two aspects: Grand Prix for the horses, and in my business, just earning enough to be comfortable. I don't want to earn millions because I don't want to work 12, 15 hours, and I think you have to if you've got $1 million goal. I know some people say you can do it over 3 days. I don't believe that. I just don't. I'm sorry. Do not believe that. And maybe that again is going to be a mind management thing. So I'm just looking for enough money to be able to get a horse without all of those issues, but also to help enough people that my days don't span into emptiness, because I get a lot of joy, pride. It feels useful for me to be able to help people outperform the way they think. So put them on a pathway where we don't just set a goal. Like, if you're a business owner and your goal is to make $1,000, $1,000 isn't a lot of money. You don't have to become a totally different version of you to do that. But if I said to you 10 times that, what would you have to do this month to make $10,000? It's different problems. It's going to create a different way of thinking. And when we can think differently, we're going to have to show up differently. It's a higher quality problem to solve. And so that's what I mean is we challenge ourselves and we grow ourselves. And look, to be fair, Vinny's mental issues are a lot less than they've ever been before, because I totally changed the way I trained him. I stopped trying to be a competitive dressage rider and started to be much more classical and less worried about his frame and more worried about his reactions to my leg or to his body being able to do biomechanical work, because he's always been biomechanically very good. If I could have put Leo's brain inside of Vinny's head, and Vinny's body in Leo's, I would have the perfect horse for me. Oh, with a bit of Armani's spunk, because Armani's always very spunky. But hey, it is what it is. So net net, what I have learned at nearly the end of 2025 is the reason I am where I am is because I cannot push through my emotions. I cannot at this stage, and I don't want to say I cannot, but I haven't. So I'm just coming to Jesus with myself. I haven't mastered my emotions. I haven't learned to overcome my natural stopping points. I haven't learned to just keep going until I fail. So when it comes to marketing my BFF club, for example, I don't sit here and I haven't tried 72 different hooks, 72 different titles to get people into my free stuff. I haven't even done paid advertising. From a audience build, I usually run summits. I haven't got one on for the end of the year. Normally I do. So these are the things I have to look at, and these are the things I have to go, well, if I'm going to create the life that I want, and I actually want more money, I want to stop worrying about where is the next income coming from, because I have two income streams right now, and one of them's doing reasonably well because it's passive, and one is my business, and I need a lot more people inside of my business. And so that to me is what 2026 will be all about. My 2026 will be about my reinvention and my growth. And in order to do that, I have to set quite a lofty goal so that I have to become a different version of me to chase it. I have to actually start to face those inner demons. And for me, at least I'm aware of them, right? It's I need to manage my emotions. I need to stop reacting or not acting, and I need to act, which means I need to figure out how to invite you all into my world in a way that has you wanting to join me. And I have to get out of my own way. And then with my horses, I have to stop believing they can't, and I have to start believing they can. And yes, I'm going to have to upskill, and I'm going to have to do things I have been putting off doing because of the fear and the scarcity around. But if I spend that on this, then I don't have that, right? It carries on. And so I'm a sort of spiritually aware person in terms of vibration. So what we focus on, we tend to attract. So if I keep focusing on scarcity, lack, and fear, I'm going to get more scarcity, lack, and fear. If I keep focusing on my horses not being sound or something going wrong with them, guess what happens? And so that's what I will be working on from now until the end of 2026. So really 13 months. And yeah, I just felt like I wanted to share that with you all and invite anybody who, like me, is at the point in their lives where you've lived a lot of decades and you have that strong desire to achieve something, and you've had that desire for decades. I'm inviting you to come join me, either inside of my BFF club or directly we can work one to one. And I am not a high ticket coach. I do not believe that we need to invest everything into transformation. But I get why my fellow business coaches want to charge business owners $50,000 for a year. I understand that because they're attracting people who are already making $500,000. And so it's a smaller investment. That's not my market. My market is probably people just like me, people who are in the struggle, who aren't making money hand over fist, but want to actually learn the skill of emotional management so that they get out of their own way and start to do the work they know they should be doing. And if we are not, so if you're a business owner like I am and you are not making $500,000, you do not have $50,000 to invest, but you do have something to invest. And we have to invest something. And I honestly can promise you, I am a coach that coaches and works alongside you. And my passive revenue stream is actually because I use a tool called Funnel Gorgeous, which is an all-in-one built on a product called High Level. And if you're my clients and you also use Funnel Gorgeous, so you buy it through my affiliate link, I get a monthly dividend from Funnel Gorgeous, and that's my passive income. And that also means that I can help you with your software because I understand it better and it's easier, and we can share templates and things like that. So I'm waffling per usual, but all this net to say that I'm a coach that gives a shit. I'm a coach that does not want this huge volume of people that I do not know your name and I do not know what's important to you. I love a coach who has set big trends in our industry and shown what is possible. Love her to death. She has a lot of negative marketing, so I could go down that negative marketing rabbit hole and decide that she is a scammer, spammer, and all of those things. But I am moved by the way that she speaks. But she can't be my coach because she'll never have a one-to-one relationship with me, nor a small group where she will know my name. Now, if I was one of her standouts, she would, but in her container, she's already said it's her first low ticket container that I've seen in a long time, but she's expecting to make millions from it, which means she's going to have millions of people in it. I'll just, so I treat it as a podcast. But if you're like me and you need somebody to really be with you, to come to Jesus meetings with you when things aren't working, where you can help see the patterns that you don't want to see and have things pointed out, then I'm your girl. There is no reward without the struggle, and we have to sit in the struggle. My writing coach once said that to me when she was watching me work Leo. Her voice is I could hear her going to me, why are you not asking him to do more of that? He was struggling in a step to keep his balance and his rhythm, and it felt freaking awful writing it. And so she just said, sit in the struggle, let him figure it out. If you keep moving him on so he doesn't sit in that struggle, how does he ever figure it out? And that has sat with me, and that's where I'm at. But instead of sitting in the struggle and making progress, I'm sitting in the struggle, not dealing with the emotional, mental negativity that comes up with it. So I'm using the excuses of nobody's buying this, nobody's interested, the market's really crap right now, not many people make it, all of that rubbish as a reason not to go all in and not to actually just show up and do the work. And that's what I'm going to change, and that's what I will help you change. So with that, I'm going to get off because I could just keep rambling. You guys must be used to this by now. As always, if you are still here, please give me a thumbs up because it's just nice to know people get to the end. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And here is my wish. I want to grow my channel because I want to obviously have a bit more impact than I'm having now. And the best way for me to do that is to ask you, if you are listening to this, to tell somebody about it. Word of mouth is the best way ever to grow these types of podcasts, if you like, but my YouTube channel. I know it's boring because I just sit here, but I have visions of 2026. I have visions of me going down and doing some in front of the barn and showing you through my life and talking through this struggle and how I'm moving on and what I'm doing, and really embracing the fact that I'm going to have a big, hairy, audacious goal. And this time I'm going to already start as though I'm there. So what would I be doing if I had 50 people inside my membership? How would I be showing up? What would I be working on? What would I be saying? If I was already running at Grand Prix, what would I be doing? Because I guarantee you I would not be exercising, right? So it's those things. So come with me. I'm getting off now. Have a good day, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.